all sorts of nice image processing algorithms, but that increases the costs of the type of sensors that you have, and also like the onboard processing that's required on the device. So the Index still has full hand tracking in that it can track your fingers, but this time you now have to strap something on your hand, and basically just uses capacitive sensors. So there's no image processing involved or depth sensing or anything like that. It's literally just you've got a bunch of sensors strapped to your hand, hence that ugly thing. But again, you might not want to wear that. But if you're a hardcore gamer, you don't care about how you look in real life, you care about how you play. Alright, let's go back to the Lightboard now, and here I can show you an actual mixed reality headset, Windows mixed reality headset. I stole this from the Lightroom. It's one of the facilities that you can visit. Just have a look through Moodle and click the links. So I guess just a bit of a plug. What the Lightroom does is it actually hosts the UNSW's Immersive tech team. What they do is they create educational experiences, usually in virtual reality, augmented reality, basically immersive learning experiences for everyone around the university. I started out as a developer there before becoming an associate lecturer here. Actually, I still work with them from time to time, but not so much these days because I got to finish my PhD. But yes, anyway, let's have a look at the device itself. So you can see here it's got a couple of cameras, and then just your normal displays over here with the Fresnel lenses. But essentially it's the same as the Valve Index, because like you've got this HDMI cable and USB that connects to a PC, so it's still tethered to a PC. Slightly different in that it uses SLAM, so it's kind of like the HoloLens and Pokemon Go as well. One thing to keep in mind, ever-changing and new field, is Windows Mixed Reality is actually a brand. So like I want you to distinguish between Windows Mixed Reality and just Mixed Reality in general, because Mixed Reality in general is not the same thing as Windows Mixed Reality. You might sometimes hear that the Microsoft HoloLens is under the Windows Mixed Reality brand as well. So that's just something to keep in mind of. But again, just ask yourself, when would someone want to use this? So it's attached. It's still attached to a PC, so it has some kind of functionality for people who plays games on PCs, but maybe they're just a little bit lazier than someone who would buy a Valve Index, because that Index needs you to set up sensors around your room. You need to dedicate a room. With the Windows Mixed Reality headset, you don't need to set up sensors around your room because it already has SLAM. It can track itself around the room by using the inside-out sensors. And then finally we get to the Oculus Quest, which I have here in my hand. So there's a lot of baggage actually in this particular headset. So let's see if we can try and run through them. You might have noticed that I called it Oculus Quest, but a few years ago, Oculus was actually bought out by Facebook, which some of you might heard is now Meta. So these two are old, but they've been referred to these. Oculus has been around for so long that people still refer to these as Oculus Quests. But yeah, again, it's just a demonstration of how this field is changing all the time. We can't always keep up with all the different changes, but if we stick to the fundamentals, that'll save us quite a bit. So you can see that it's a standalone headset. It doesn't have a tether onto a PC or something external. And it's the idea with this, it's basically it's an all-in-one device. So you can see the four cameras around the perimeter of the headset. These cameras actually enable SLAM. And just a reminder, SLAM is simultaneous localization and mapping. So these sensors allow the Quest to know its position in the real world, which allows itself to be able to orient the perspective of what's being shown on screen based on its position in the real world. So essentially it's like Pokemon Go again, but strapped to your face. Also like a little bit like HoloLens, but I guess the difference here is that there is actually an actual screen mediating your vision to the outside world again, whereas if you'll remember, HoloLens, you could see directly into the real world through the glass of the HoloLens. So now the Quest uses hand controllers to be able to simulate hand presence, but recently they've been able to use the cameras to be able to track your hands in a similar way to how the HoloLens does, but like with almost the same kind of precision, but not with the same fidelity of sensors. So like there's a bit of a trade-off happening there. There's a lot more image processing being used, because I don't think these cameras can get depth information like the HoloLens sensors can. That'll be more relevant in week 2, the balancing of where you put your computing resources. I guess it's important to mention Quest because it seems like this might be the first breakout mainstream device in virtual reality. You'll be able to find a lot of industry articles that say something to that effect. But anecdotally in my own life is my friend Tima, who founded this company called Alta, has just got a ton of funding for a VR game that's on Quest at the moment. So I don't know what the rules are for plugging, so I won't plug it here. But if you're really curious, you can ask me in class, face to face. Quest is going to be, and actually is, quite a significant thing to think about at the moment if we're in this field. Now, looking into the future, we know that Google is also having a second crack at it. They did try to get the first crack using Google Glass. That wasn't very successful, and maybe we can break that down in the tutorial as to why it wasn't. So Apple is slated to release something soon, apparently. There's a lot of rumors about their device. But essentially the point is we're very getting close to the point now that immersive environments, immersive design, augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality, this whole umbrella field is going to be super significant. I feel excited. I hope you feel excited too. Anyway, let's sum up. Even though we did talk quite a lot about tech today, that's not the key to successful immersive design. We really need to think about what the user is going to experience first. And I guess that's what's sometimes termed as human-centered design. And it's not just a fad. We do it because it actually works. So if you think about being a restaurant designer, we want our users to have the best dining experience from going up into the entrance to sitting down and then maybe having the views with nice ambiance and stuff like that. But then we need to think about budget too. So basically, how do we balance our wildest dreams with what's actually possible in terms of money? And then once we have those two things, then we can try and see what tools do we have available to us to be able to achieve this vision with this particular budget. Because if you start out with tech, generally that's not the right place. So unless I'll put a little caveat at the very bottom. So if there's a particular company that's trying to sell a bit of tech, you better believe that that bit of tech is going to improve things quite a bit. And we'll be looking at these kinds of things a little bit further in Modalities of Interaction 2 later in week 5, I believe. Next week, I'd really like to talk about human physiology and how that relates to safety and that kind of thing. So yeah, thanks for listening. So there are a few more items that I'd like you guys to have a look at this week before heading into the face-to-face class. So one of them will be, so there are 2 papers and 1 video. First paper will be, the first paper basically looks at interaction design in general. So I'd like you guys, as you're reading through that, to try and relate it back to the topics that we've been talking about with respect to immersive design. And the other paper will basically just be looking at, well, that's the reference for the reality-virtuality continuum. The third item will be a video from Belinda Yi, and she'll be talking a little bit about jumping from 2D design to 3D design. What she's talking about there is primarily about augmented reality design, which would be more relevant to the Pokemon Go and Microsoft HoloLens slides that we were talking about. Cool. Yes, that's it. Hopefully the fire hose isn't too fast. So please, before coming to class, have a look at the questions that I posted in Moodle. See if you can answer them and start a discussion. If you disagree with each other, please be nice. Yeah,